If you want to become fluent in English this year means, October, November and December, you need a plan. Yes guys, you need a plan. Hi everyone, my name is Shalima and welcome back to my another session of learning English and improving your English speaking skills with me. So guys, in today's video, I am going to give you 7 different language learning techniques which you can use to help you improve your English more quickly and efficiently. I know when it comes to learning English, it can seem like there is a lot of information out there, too much information, right? It can be really overwhelming and often you don't know where to start, but don't worry guys. In this today's video, I am going to be very specific and tell you everything you need to know to create your own custom study plan. Now, before we talk about how to do this, I want to talk about why you need a plan. So let's imagine you are driving a car. You probably know where you are going and you have a destination in mind. Maybe it's walk, the beach or another city, but wherever it is, if you want to reach this place, you need to know which roads to take. Maybe you use a GPS or maybe you use a map. But before you start driving, you figure out which path you are going to take and how you can reach your destination. Learning English is no different in this case, guys. Your goal is fluency or a C2 level. Well, this is where we need to talk about how to create a plan, everyday's plan, when learning English will be slightly different, and reason for this. This is everybody has different needs. Maybe you are learning English to get better job, or maybe you have just moved to US or the UK and you want to improve your fluency to fit in and sound more like a native speaker. Now, how do you figure out what your needs are? All you need to do is ask yourself the question, why am I learning English? Your answer to this question is the reason you are learning English. And when you create a study plan, you need to focus on this reason. So let's look at the 7 skills you need to practice if you want to reach this level. So you are going to have to focus on reading, writing, speaking, listening, vocabulary, grammar and pronunciation. Now that we have listed these 7 skills, guys, I want you to look at each and think honestly about how good you are at. How well do you know these 7 skills? And I want you to rank them each from 1 to 7. Being the worst, so you don't know this very well and it's a big weakness for you guys. And 1 being the best, which means you know this skill very well and you are very good at it. So be honest with yourself because this is really important for the next part of the exercise. So let's say your reading skills aren't that great, but they are also not horrible. You give yourself a 3. Now, let's say writing is actually one of your strongest skill. You are very good at it. So you give yourself a 1. But on the other end, your speaking skills are really not great. You feel nervous and you can't find the right words when you speak. So you give yourself a 7. Maybe your listening isn't that bad. Give yourself a 3. You know you need to expand your vocabulary, so you give yourself a 4. Your grammar and pronunciation are both pretty good. So give yourself a 2 for both. Now, as I said before, it's really important that you be honest with yourself because knowing your strength and weaknesses is really the only way you can actually improve. So now you are probably thinking, Shalima, I have these 7 numbers, that what's the point of this? What do I do now? Well, this is where the magic happens. I want you to look at this blank schedule. We have 7 days of the week and 7 different rows. Each of those numbers you choose represent how often you are going to practice, and that is skills per week. So you gave yourself a 3-4 reading. You could do this on Sunday, Wednesday and Saturday. Since you are really good at writing, you don't need to practice it that much. You give yourself one, so you need to practice once a week. Let's say you have some time on Monday. So you practice it, then you have problems speaking. So you gave yourself a 7. This means you need to practice speaking 7 days. A week once, okay? So you have filled out this whole chart. It should look something like this, obviously yours, and will look a bit different depending on what skills you need to practice and how much time you have on certain days. For examples, if you don't have much time on Monday, you can arrange your schedule so you only practice one skill on Monday, okay? But then practice 4 other skills on a date you have more time. This just gives you a general idea of how to structure your weekly schedule. Now, if you are wondering about how much time to spend a day, you can use this simple formula, guys. Just take how much time you have to spend and divide it by the number of skills. So you have to practice that day. For example, if you just an hour on Monday, you have to practice writing, reading, speaking and vocabulary. That means you have to spend 15 minutes on each skill. So pause the video, go fill out that chart and you will have your weekly study schedule. So now you are probably thinking, okay, I have my schedule and now I know which skill I need to practice, but how do I actually practice them? I am going to give you 7 techniques, guys. Yes, 7 techniques that you can use practice these skills. But before we get to that, make sure to subscribe the channel if you are finding this video helpful, and I love hearing from you. So make sure to leave a comment below. You can connect with me on Instagram also, okay? And the username is given here on my screen. You can check that. So, and let's look at these 7 techniques that you can use to practice these skills. But for each skill, I am going to give you one technique which you can use to start practicing now. So first of all, how do we practice English reading skills? We have to read, but there are actually 2 types of reading. If you want to improve your reading skills, you need to practice both reading quickly and detailed reading. You can read quickly where maybe you don't understand every single word. You try to understand the general meaning of the text, and you can also do detailed reading where you look at every single word and translate the ones you don't understand now. What you read depends on your level of English. If you are at, you are a beginner, you are at A2 level or B1, you need to read something a bit simpler without too many difficult words. My number 1 recommendation at this level is simple Wikipedia. Go to simple Wikipedia or .org, okay, and there you will find thousands of Wikipedia articles in relatively simple English. Words will still be a bit difficult, but this is definitely a great starting point. So go check it out, and I'm sure you can find a topic that you are interested in reading about. Once you get to B2 level or higher, you can really start reading authentic material, which is content written by native speakers. For native speakers, you can obviously read books which are great. But if you are looking for something a bit shorter, I recommend online newspaper articles. The language in these is difficult, and it will change you, but that's exactly what you need if you want to improve your English quickly. I'll put a link in the description to a couple of sites which I think I have some very good articles now. And when it comes to writing, how should you practice these skills first? So first of all, you should ask yourself, what do you actually need to write in English? For most of people, that means emails, letters, or maybe academic writing at school. Once you know what you need to write, think about the context. For example, are you sending an email to your boss asking for a meeting, or you are writing an application letter for a new job? Once you have figured that out, what you need to do is to practice writing drafts. Imagine you are writing the real thing, but now you have a bit more time to think about what you want to say, to play around with your word choice, and to structure everything perfectly. So when the time comes to actually write one of those emails or letters in real life, you will know exactly what to say and you can do it really quickly. You haven't already, make sure to subscribe to this channel because I'll be talking about writing in future videos, okay? So let's talk about a bit about speaking. So guys, the speaking might be the easiest thing to practice because all you need to do is to speak with people. So if you feel nervous when you speak, that's completely normal and it will eventually go away with practice. Now what if you don't have anybody to practice speaking with? Well, you can actually speak to yourself. Don't do this in this public, but when you are alone, it helps you actually say your thoughts out loud in English. And I have personally used this technique. There is the one thing that you can improve, that you can do to improve turn on a British or American movies or a TV series and listen to it for 2 minutes without subtitles. Then what I want you to do is to listen to those 2 minutes again with the subtitles and add, I had even recommend you to write the subtitles down so you have a little paragraph so you can look at and study once you have that words in front of you. So listen to those 2 minutes again and you follow along with the text connect what you hear with what you see and keep doing this until you understand every word in the text. So this exercise will help you because it allows you to hear how native speakers talk and at the same time see what's actually written so you can connect what you hear with what you see. Alright, so moving on to the vocabulary, what can you do to expand your vocabulary in English? So now I have mentioned that you can read books or news articles or you can watch TV or movies, but how do you actually remember these new words? This is the big problem. So one great way to do this, to keep some sort of diary or notebook. Maybe it's on your phone or on a paper, but the point is you have a list of new vocabulary. Okay, word every time you hear or you see new word, write it down and look up the definition and you can write the word but also definition in your notebook. When the time comes to practice this vocabulary, you can sit down and repeat every word in the list until you have memorized it. And if you can, I would actually recommend doing this before bedtime because some studies have shown that when you sleep, you are actually improving your memory. Alright, so moving on to the grammar. For some people, grammar is the most boring skill. For the other people, it's the most interesting, but it actually doesn't matter, guys. What you think of it, because grammar is so important to any language. You do have to learn it. A lot of learning grammar is just memorization, but it's not enough just to memorize the rules. Once you have learned a new grammar concept, you need to practice it in context. The best way to do this, to sit down and write 10 to 20 sentences using that grammar concept, but make sure these sentences are ones that you would actually say in real life, okay? And this way you can connect the grammar concept with your real life experience, which will actually help you memorize them faster again when it comes to the actual grammar concept. So there are so many free resources out there, but I'm going to I have already made a videos on that. You can go and check on my YouTube, and a day before yesterday I've uploaded a video on a free AI apps. You can go and just see where you can just improve your pronunciation, your vocabulary So you will get all the things, right? Well, you also need to create a pronunciation list. When you hear words that are new or difficult to pronounce, write these down, and eventually you will have a pretty long list. Now it's not enough to only write the words down. You actually have to practice pronouncing them, and you do this by imitating or mimicking someone's pronunciation as many times as you need to until you can say the word perfectly. If you don't have a native speakers to help you, you can go to any translation website, you can go to the Google, or normally they will have a button you can press so you can hear how the word sounds okay. Obviously, if you have somebody to correct your pronunciation like a coach, you will see progress more quickly, but you can also try to this on your own, okay. And I could talk about all these topics for hours, but I don't want to make this video too long. So today we have seen why you need a plan and how you can create a plan, and 7 different techniques that you can use to practice the 7 languages skills. Now you have no excuse not to take action. So get to work and start improving your English today. So if you found this video helpful, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to this channel. This is Shalima signing off. Take care and speak English with confidence.